Hello, Bologna United Methodist Church, and welcome to our midweek devotion time. I'm Pastor Lauren, and I'm here with Bertie Marcotte to share a little bit about how prayer has been impactful in her life. As many of you know, we've just started a worship series called Help, Thanks, Wow, where we're talking about 3 essential prayers and the way that those prayers can connect us to God. Sometimes we make prayer complicated, and this series is a reminder to us that just a word or phrase or even borrowed prayers that have been written that people have turned to for centuries can impact our lives in ways that we can't even imagine. And so Bertie is going to share a little bit about that. We've been having some conversation about prayer and its meaning in her life, and I wanted you all to get to hear that conversation as well. So Bertie, I want to turn it over to you and we can have a conversation.
Well, around 6 years old, I became inquisitive, and we've all heard the joke of Howard is your name. When it's mumbled as a kid, it kind of sounded like Howard. But at that stage, and I was also learning to read at this point, my father, every Sunday, the Lord's Prayer is marked, the Apostles' Creed is marked. Read these. Of course, as I'm reading that triggers all kinds of questions. You know, what does hallowed mean? And, why isn't there bread on the ground every morning? And what are trespasses?
Yeah.
Because of that, I understood more probably than my classmates what the Lord's Prayer actually meant. But also that was critical in teaching me how to pray. Mm-hmm. And no, there's not step A, step B, but to start out with praise and thanksgiving, and then to be able to really tell him what's going on and what you need.
Right.
I remember with the Apostles' Creed down at the bottom, like, Catholic, Mom, it means universal.
Right.
Oh, so it's Roman Universal Church. But those two prayers and affirmation were really the beginning of my Christian formation.
Yeah, do you want to share a little bit, we talked about the way it helped your family to have conversations about faith as well.
It did. Well, it just opens the door. And we also, every meal had grace.
Right.
It was a rote prayer. Daddy said it. We all held hands around the table. And Dad said grace, and then we ate. If we were together as a family, it didn't matter, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Most cases, even out at restaurants, he was going to say something real quick.
Right.
No need to make a spectacle of yourself, but we still need to say thanks.
Right.
Because everything we have is by the grace of God. Our food, our home, everything that was in my bedroom, everything that was in our house was because God graced us. And my parents, most memorable, my father, were great examples, and didn't say like something, oh, you're 6, you won't understand this. We'll come back to it later.
Right.
It was like, okay, you're asking some big questions here.
You're
so
ready. Yeah.
let's get this book out,
Right.
and we'll talk about it.
Yeah. That's great. I appreciate you sharing about your family and about prayer, and I invite you at home, if you are an adult, maybe to reminisce a little bit like Bertie has about the way prayer has been important in your family life growing up. But also, if you're a family, I invite you to have some conversation around prayer. If you aren't regularly praying, maybe think of a way you can introduce that into your family life. Or if you're an individual and you need a new way to pray, I invite you to pick a prayer like the Lord's Prayer or the Serenity Prayer or St. Francis of Assisi's prayer, and pick a prayer that you become intimate with, that you get to know. And like Bertie said, that you don't just learn it so you can recite it, but you actually look at the words and think about what each word means and what sort of weight that carries and how it might connect you with God in a new way. We look forward to continuing this conversation around prayer, and if you have a story you want to share about the way prayer has been important in your life, I would love for you to share that with me as well. Thanks.